Hello everyone, welcome to English Now. We are going to discuss in today's video the chapter articles, which we have been discussing lately. Two parts of this chapter have already been discussed. This is the part 3, so let's start. The video will be useful for exam aspirants and spoken English learners. They are going to be benefited with this video. So let me start with telling you something. Yesterday I told my friend I'm going to the school. On listening to this, he smiled and said, "Just say I'm going to school and not the school." He said this way, "I am going to school" instead of "I'm going to the school." You have to say this word without using the with this. That's when I realized sometimes removing words like a, an, and the actually makes your English more correct. How this happens? It means you have to remove or not using the articles. When this happens at the time of omission of the article, means not using articles before the nouns. So there are some situations which we are going to discuss in which we don't have to use article or omit article. So let's talk about that. The article is omitted before names of substances and abstract nouns. So when we talk about some substances or abstract nouns, before them we omit article. For example, generally uncountable nouns which are used in a general sense. For example, sugar is bad for your health. Gold is a precious metal. Now sugar and gold, these are substances which have been used in a general sense. So before that we have omitted article. We haven't used any article before them because they have been used in a general sense. Now next example we have is wisdom is the gift of. Now wisdom is again an abstract noun. Before this also we have omitted article because this has also been used in a general sense. So wisdom is the gift of heaven. Honesty is the best policy. Virtue is its own reward. Now honesty and virtue are also abstract nouns and have been used in general sense. So before them also we have omitted article or not use article at all. Now we need to note also something over here is that uncountable nouns take the when used in a particular sense. So any special sense, if we are trying to say, we use the before uncountable nouns also, especially when qualified by an adjective or adjective phrase or clause. For example, would you pass me the sugar? Now sugar is again uncountable noun. Earlier we talked about an example where we did not use the before this because we were talking about general sense, but over here sense has become special, so we have used the before this. For example, the sugar on the table, we are talking about it, that particular sugar which is on the table. Now the wisdom of Solomon is great, so wisdom has become special over here, the sense. So we have used the with this. I can't forget the kindness with which he treated me. Now the kindness has been used in special sense. Article is also omitted under different situations. So before plural countable nouns, use in a general sense. Always remember, before any general sense, we generally omit using articles. Plural countable nouns here we're talking about. For example, children like chocolates. Now children is plural countable noun and has been used in general sense, so we have omitted articles. Computers are used in many offices. Computer is also one of those examples. Now note that such nouns take the when used with a particular meaning. For example, where are the children? So again over here, in particular meaning, whenever it gives any particular meaning, this will comprise of the along with this. So where are the children is the example of it. Children is plural and it's giving special meaning, so we have used the before that. Article is omitted in this situation also before most proper nouns. So whenever we're talking about taking names of any proper nouns, before that we generally omit using articles, except those referred to earlier, namely names of people, Gopal, Rahim, names of continents, countries, cities. For example, Europe, Pakistan, Nagpur, we'll take these names this way only without any article. names of individual mountains, so we will say Mount Everest. Individual islands, lakes, hills, these names when we talk about, so these names all are proper nouns. So whenever we are taking the names of proper nouns, before them we have to omit article. We don't have to use article at all when we're talking about the general sense. Now article is also omitted before names of meals used in a general sense. Always remember, whenever general sense comes, you have to omit articles before that. For example, what time do you have lunch? Dinner is ready. Now dinner, lunch, these are names of meals and have been used in general sense. So again, when we're using these names in general sense, before them we have to omit article or not use article at all. Now we have to note here also that we use a when there's an adjective before breakfast, lunch, dinner. Before these words, when there's any adjective that's coming, we have to use article a along with that. And we use the when we specify it, when the meaning becomes special. So for special meaning, the article will be used. For example, I had a late lunch today. Now lunch is a noun and late is adjective. Before that we have used article a. The dinner we had at the tourist hotel was very nice. Now dinner is noun and it has been used in a special sense, so we have used the along with that. Just before that the article the has been used because the meaning the dinner is giving is of a special kind. So for special we have to use the. For general we have to omit the article. Now the article is also omitted before using the names of languages. For example, we are studying English. They speak Punjabi at home. English and Punjabi, both are the languages. We're taking these names in general sense. So before that, we haven't used any articles. So article is omitted. It's also omitted in this situation before taking names of school, college, university, church, bed, hospital, prison, all these names. When these places are visited or used for their primary purposes. So whenever the main objective of these places have been discussed in the sentence, whenever we're discussing these kind of sentence, the primary purpose, then we omit using articles before this. Let's understand this with an example. I learned French at school. So over here, school, this word has been used, and before this we have omitted articles. We haven't used any article. Why? Because the primary purpose of school is to study. So I went there at the school to do what? To learn French. So learning is the main object of the school. So for this purpose, the primary purpose we are talking about, that's why the hasn't been used with this. We go to church on Sundays. Now people go to church to pray over there, right? So church has been used for the primary purpose, which is prayer. That's why we have omitted using article before this. He stays in bed till 9 every morning. Now staying in bed is the primary purpose, means beds are to sleep. That's why before this article hasn't been used. My uncle is still in hospital. Now in hospital means what? The primary purpose of the hospital is to take treatment from. So uncle is taking treatment from hospital. So that's why this is the primary purpose, and that's why we haven't used article before hospital. Now we need to remember that the is used with these words when we refer to them as a definite place, building, or object rather than to the normal activity that goes on there. So if there is any specific thing happening other than the primary purpose being offered by these buildings, we use the for special meaning. For example, the school is very near my home. Now we are taking the name of school, we are using the also with this. Why we are using the? Because we are not talking about the school's primary purpose, which is to study. We are just talking about the distance. That's why, which is different from the primary purpose. That's why we have used the with this. I met him at the church. Now the primary purpose of the church is to pray, not to meet. But our objective is different. We are talking about meeting, not to pray. So church has been used over here. other than its primary purpose, which is meeting. That's why we have used the before the word church. Same thing goes with the bed is broken. Now, the primary purpose of bed, we all know, is to sleep, but over here we are taking this name bed in a different sense. So we have used the with this, which is broken. I went to the hospital to see my uncle. So the primary purpose of hospital is to take treatment from there, right? But we are talking about to meet someone at the hospital, which is not the primary purpose of the hospital. That's why before taking name of hospital, we have used, just before this, we have used an article which is the, which has become a special meaning. I went to the hospital to see my uncle, not to take the treatment, but to see my uncle. I went there. The meaning is special. The meaning is different from its primary purpose. So all these words before them, we use the because they were giving us a special meaning and were used other than their primary purposes. Now, article is also omitted. We need to understand that before taking names of relations like father, mother, uncle, aunt, and also cook and nurse, meaning our cook, our nurse. So before taking these names, we omit articles. For example, father has returned. Aunt wants you to see her. Cook has given notice. These relations we have used before them, we have omitted articles. Article is also omitted before predictive nouns denoting a unique position. Now, this is something that you need to understand. Whenever we talk about any situation, any position which is unique in its own way, or which is held at one time by one person only, so only one person will hold it, then for that, before taking the names of it, we omit article. For example, he was elected chairman of the board. Now, chairman is a unique position which is held by one person at one time. So we have used chairman without article. Mr. Banerjee became principal of the college in 1995. Same thing goes with principal is a unique position. We have omitted article before this. Article is also omitted in certain phrases consisting of a transitive verb followed by its object. So a transitive verb followed by its object. For example, to catch fire, to take breath, to give battle, to cast anchor, to send word, to bring word, to give ear, to lay siege, to set sail, to lose heart, to set foot, to leave home, to strike root, and to take offense. These are the phrases which we use without taking any kind of article with them. So these were the situations, the conditions that are used where we have to omit articles, and in some situations, when situations become special or particular, we use article. Otherwise, for general sense, we don't use articles at all. Now, this was the video. How did you like? You can share your comments. We'll meet again. Till then.